As always, we start the show with a quick word from FanDuel, who is the official sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can bet it all with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the ballpark tonight. Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And as always, if you have a winning ticket, make sure you guys send those in so we can feature it on the show. Jay, you alluded to it earlier, but a rough weekend for the Guardians and mainly a rough weekend for the starting pitchers. Ben Lively, Cookie Carrasco, neither had their typical starts compared to what they've been doing for the majority of the season. And we've spoken about this time and time again, but it kind of came to a head this weekend. Can you trust the starting rotation for the Guardians right now, or do you go into each game on pins and needles?
No, I wouldn't say pins and needles. I feel pretty confident that they're going to win more games than they lose the rest of the way. And if they do, they finish with 95 wins, and that gets them a division crown. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty. The beauty of running up a 20-game over 500 before you even get to July 4th is that you can now, not that they're going to do this, but if they just cruise control and win half their games, play 500 baseball, they're going to win 95 games. So that's a huge luxury. They are going to hit a skid. They're going to hit a patch where they lose 7 of 10. It's coming. It hasn't yet, but it's coming. You got to play through that, and you've got to find a way to, minimize that streak. But I feel so confident in this team right now. It's almost crazy because they're getting it from all parts of the lineup. Newcomers come in and start racking the ball all over the place. Almost came back from that 7-2 deficit. Cookie Carrasco scares me. We've got to do something there, but I'm comfortable with where this team is.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a little shaky.
Are you?
Scared. I'm a little scared.
What about the pitching? Or
yeah, Carrasco. Listen. Every time he's out there, it looks like he's giving up 4 or 5 runs.
He is.
Lively has been pitching great, but we talked about it before. Is he going to continue to pitch like that? And can you count on somebody that especially a guy that came out of nowhere?
He had a bump in the road Saturday.
Had a little bump right there.
And what scares me is it was after he went home to get looked at.
Mm-hmm.
To get his arm looked at.
McKenzie is not throwing the ball hard. He's been getting hit. And the thing that scares me a little bit about the Guardians is I love the fact I used to never be concerned about pitching. The concern used to be hitting and how many runs they can get. But before the show, we talked about the Sheenahan cat. What is his name? Schneemann. This dude, he's going opposite field home run with power. He out here playing confident. I think he's knocking the ball all over the place. But the problem I got is this. I already naturally assume, and I said this about a month ago, I know the Guardians got enough to win the Central. I know the Guardians is going to be one of the top 3 teams in the AL and American League. My problem is this. When we get to the playoffs, can I count on this pitching staff?
It'll look different by then.
Getting to a point where now you got to face the Yankees, face the Orioles, and these guys are capable of hitting 2-3 home runs, 2-run home runs, 3-run home runs, and putting you in a position where now your bats have to be super elite, so you got to get 2-3 home runs, right? But for me, I think They need some arms, and I think this series showed you, and it showed the Guardians that hey, we got a nice squad, but we do have a little tweaking to do in this roster before the playoffs.
Yeah,
well, I
agree with that.
I think the situation with Carlos Carrasco, great story, and I think we're all feel good about seeing this comeback story. But yeah, I've seen enough of this experiment. Like you said, every single time he's out there pitching, he's giving up 4 or 5 runs a game. I chalk it up Ben Lively. That was just a bad start. I think he's shown me enough this year that I believe he'll bounce back from that bad start that he had the other day.
I'm worried about the arm pain, though.
I think he can get through it. I think so.
Well, it must have been nothing.
That's the first start since then, right?
Yeah.
So
they shut him down. They brought him home. They did some tests.
We'll see what the start after that looks like. But hopefully Gavin Williams comes back ready to go. And his front office and this front office goes out here shopping to get us another arm for the rotation. But I think for me, if Tanner Bivey can just learn how to pitch deeper into games, you got your ace. This dude he strikes out damn near everybody he sees. He get into these small jams and small situations. Once he learns how to work out of those and pitch deeper into games, I think he can be an ace. Logan Allen, to me, for the most part, has pitched pretty good. He's had a few bad outings.
He's had some bumps, yeah.
I think overall, they just kind of hit a rough patch. And I think they'll be able to, it's growing pains. I think they can get through that.
Let me ask you, from a pitcher standpoint with Lively, a guy who is not been in a spotlight, not counted on to be like a guy that, if we need a win, you can go out here and get a win, or he's a stopper. If you're a guy that is used to being a fringe pitcher, a guy that's, not really a top-notch guy, could it be a thing where you kind of overthrow, you kind of put a little pressure on yourself to kind of perform, and he hasn't been used to something like this in this position?
It's possible. I look at David Fry, and I expect a huge regression from David Fry, too. The pressure that you talk about is real. Lively's feeling it. David Fry is feeling it. These guys are not who we thought they were to this point. Mm-hmm. But at some point, there's always a regression to the mean. There always is. Fry is playing so far over his skis. I love it. I hope it continues. But I also think that at some point, he's going to turn into David Fry again. And I also think that with Ben Lively, there's enough hay in the barn on these guys that we've seen before in their career to know who they are. When you get off to a hot start and things are rolling, that inertia turns into energy and it turns into confidence. But as soon as you're dinged, you lose that confidence and you're like, uh-oh, it's midnight and I'm turning back into, Cinderella. I'm turning back into, there goes my dress, there goes my slippers. And I don't know when that's going to happen. David Fry is not going to keep these numbers for the rest of his career. Just not. I'd love it if he could. But at some point, you're going to start to see him slip back. I think he already is a little bit. He's slowed down on his production.
His OPS has dipped under 1 for the first
time all year.
They still 983, which is top 10 in Major League Baseball, but it's dipped
but it was
below
1,200.
1. I know, it's dipped below 1 for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Stephen Kwan's OPS, by the way, above 1 now.
I don't know. With Stephen Kwan, every once in a while, pitchers or hitters will tell you that it just looks like a beach ball. When you played even in high school, you got into stretches where when you walked up to the plate, you weren't thinking about getting a hit. You were thinking about where you were going to put it. I'm going to gap it all the way to the left center field fence, and I'm going to leg out a double or a triple.
It's the greatest feeling in the world.
It is, because there's no mystery. You just walk up there, and confidence is like an elephant. It can knock down walls, but on the other hand, it can weigh you down. And so when you start to miss, you immediately think, uh-oh, I've lost it. I talk to players that are in their early to mid-30s, and many of them say the same thing when they come to spring training. Is this the winter I lost it? Because you just lose it. Father Time's undefeated.
Right.
Stephen Kwan is in the absolute apex of his career. He's young. He's confident. He's accumulated some incredible awards and accolades already. When I watch him at the plate, I get the sense that he knows he's going to get a hit.
Yeah, he at the point now. I know when somebody locked in, when they start hitting pitches that are traditionally places where those are outs, those are strikes. He hit a ball that was up and away, and he pulled it. And I'm like, he's now hitting balls that are above his chest. And to get your wrist in a position to do that, to pull a ball, is amazing. Then he's going opposite way. He just looked like it's almost like he's slapping the ball where he wants to, like Wade Boggs.
Or going where it's pitched.
Yeah,
if it's outside, instead of trying to do something with it, just flip your bat and knock it into left field.
Tony Gwynn used to do that, and I used to watch Tony Gwynn and be like, how is he getting all
eye
these
hand
hits?
was so good. And Kwan actually, Jason has talked about this, in the offseason, Kwan actually spent time missing on purpose. Think about that. Swinging the bat and missing the ball on purpose. Because his eye hand is so good, he just goes and gets it wherever it is. And he wanted to experience that feeling of swinging and missing. It's okay. And he did that this offseason, and now it's almost like he's hitting a quadrant of the baseball that he wants to hit. And when you're in that zone does not last forever. You know, even Ted Williams, who was one of the greatest hitters of the 20th century, Ted Williams would say, as quickly as you can fall into that zone, you can fall out of it. And no rhyme or reason. It doesn't always have to happen out after an off day. You know, it can happen after a 4 for 4 or a 5 for 5. You wake up the next day, you go to the ballpark, and you're like, wow, I'm just not seeing it as well.
Yeah.
So for right now, Stephen Kwan is, for my money, the best contact hitter in the game. He's just, and I poo-pooed 400 on Friday. Tyvis is like, I think he's going to do it. You think he's going to do it.
Yeah.
I just have been watching baseball my whole life. I know how hard that is. But right now, he's in the conversation. He's 398, and he's going 3 for 4, 4 for 5, 3 for 5. You keep doing that, and you build up a nice little pad and a cushion.
I mean, we in Cleveland, we do the unthinkable. We do the unbelievable.
Can you imagine?
We
if
do
you did
things
hit
that's never
400?
been done before. So
400 is the holy grail. It's like
It's tough.
It's one of the most, like, when you grow up and you talking about home runs, like, okay, that's cool, but we talk about a game in which you can hit the ball hard and it go right to somebody.
It happens a lot.
It happen all the time. Like, you have a lot of loud outs, right? Or you could be seeing the ball great. You could be seeing the ball and you're like, man, I just missed my pitch right there.
Yep.
And you foul it off.
Right.
And you're like,
And you know you're not going to see one like it again.
and so that's why 400 is so crazy, because like we talked about, you can go 1 for 3 in a walk and have a couple stolen bases.
Your average goes down.
You bat 333 and you feel like you did something because you hit a home run and you stole a base. You may score a couple runs, and then you go back and you're like, well, dang, I just dropped 15% of my batting average. That's how high 400 is.
It's hard. It's very difficult. It's one of the most difficult accomplishments in all of sports, not just baseball, but all of sports. You've got to be locked in for a long stretch of time, and I certainly hope he can make a run for it. It would make for a fun summer if every homestand, you're putting butts in seats if he's chasing history, and now you can turn, you know, a really good attendance season into a great attendance season.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
On that, let's say he is hitting 398 in a month and a half.
Yeah. It gets real on August 1st.
August, whatever. August
That's
1st,
when it gets
sure.
real.
I don't know if we have an answer. The answer maybe we have no idea, which is totally fair.
Yeah.
How much pressure do you think Stephen Kwan would feel to then reach said plateau of 400 on a night in, night out basis?
A lot.
I think that would impact him at the plate going through what would probably be a pretty damn important stretch for the Guardians, who hopefully have wrapped up the division by then, but August 1st would probably be a little too early to have that in the bag.
Yeah, they're not going to have the division wrapped by then. They're only 5 games up right now, and August 1st is just about 6 weeks away. The pressure is immense. Pete Rose spoke of it when he hit for 44 straight games in the National League back in the 80s, I believe. I remember famously Roger Maris. I talked about this on the show on Friday. Roger Maris, when he was chasing 61, when, you know, for years the record was 60 home runs in a season by Babe Ruth. In 1961, when he hit 61 to break the record, he said in July he started, clumps of his hair started falling out, massive clumps. And he said he was chasing this mythical figure, Babe Ruth. And there were Yankees fans that didn't want him to break the record because they wanted Babe Ruth to have the record. So not only was he feeling pressure every night, because he said, I felt like I had to hit a home run every night I went to the ballpark because everybody was coming to see me hit a home run. But he also said he felt a lot of push from Yankees fans that wanted that holy grail to stay in Babe Ruth's clutch. And they didn't want Roger Maris to do it. So he actually beat the pressure and got to 61. But when you're chasing these mythical ghost records, and it's not a record, but it's an achievement, it's an accomplishment, man, I mean, to think it hasn't been done since 1941?
that's crazy.
I will say, it does give you a little. I mean, because when you were younger and you watched all those guys hitting those home runs, I mean, you saw them hitting home runs every single, and hitting home runs is like, hey, I'm trying. Like,
Yeah, you're going for home
you're
runs.
going for home runs. Like hits, like, hey, you just up there trying to see the ball, put the ball in play, and let the chips fall where they may. So, like, I mean, I've seen Barry Bonds and Sosa and McGuire be locked in for a whole year. Like
Yeah.
every single day they was hitting home runs. Now 400 is a little more difficult because I think like it's just multiple hits. You gotta string together multiple hit games to do it. I don't know what type of pressure it would be. Do you guys feel like batting 400 is that big of a deal today?
Anytime you're looking at something in a sport that hasn't been done in 85 years, yeah, that's a big, big deal. And especially when we're in an era now where 300 hitters are unicorns.
Right.
They used to be. I remember when I was a kid, you'd look at the American League batting leaders, and George Brett would be at 380. Rod Carew would be at 366. There'd be 8 or 10 guys over 330.
Yeah.
Nobody hits 330 today.
Ever.
Arise is looked at as a throwback player because he was hitting over 330. But Can Kwan right now is this sort of odd unicorn. Now, he missed a month, so really we almost have to pump the brakes on it because it's not he's hitting 398 on June 17th. It's he's hitting 398 on May 17th.
Yeah.
And we don't usually get excited about things like that until at least the middle of June. And because he missed a month, I think that helped him to get to that point. But still, Friday, I was wholesale dismissing it, and I'm still, if I had to bet my house on it, I would still bet my house he is not going to do it.
No.
But it could make for an interesting summer if he stays this dialed in. Because to miss a month of the season and come back and hit over 500 in the couple of weeks that he's been back, guys, that's nuts.
And that's why I think he's going to do it. I hear the conversation about the pressure, but like G said, like sometimes you could just be locked in like a racehorse with your blinders on. You don't see nothing to the left or to the right. You that locked in, and for him to miss that
it's
type of time.
It's hard to stay there for more than a week.
But for him to miss a month of time in baseball, and we know baseball is really about timing and making sure your technique stays on point.
That's true.
And for you to come back and not only pick up where you left off, but increase your batting average since that point, it just says mentally he really is locked in on another level. But that's another, I think that's another attribute, that's another kudos to Stephen Vogt. Because whatever energy he's transferring throughout that clubhouse, it got these dudes playing on another level. You mentioned Fry playing outside of his mind. You got all these different dudes that's doing things that's, quite frankly, unique in their own way or in the history of the league right now. So
if he bat 400, it's almost more impressive than Ted Williams because of the way
it is more
pitcher. Because think
it's
about
more specialized now.
He's not gonna see. He may see 3 to 4 different pitchers.
Yeah, to me it would be way more impressive than Ted Williams.
You're not even gonna see a picture 3 times no more. So now every time if he's going to get them hits, he's going to be doing it against guys that are coming in from the bullpen, and he's seeing 4 or 5 pitches, which is crazy to just continue to put the ball in play and get hits against all those different pitchers, especially the way they use them now in bullpens.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, that's why I said on Friday emphatically no, he's not going to do it. Because, and the other thing too is the advanced scouting today. Like, I watched an interview with Pete Rose a couple of days ago. And Pete Rose, he's as old school throwback as it gets. And he does have a little bit of get off my lawn old man to him. I can appreciate that. I have some of that to me too. But what I liked about what he was saying in this interview was he said, when I played, I didn't have a notebook. I didn't have a computer. I didn't have a scouting report. I didn't have anything that told me when this pitcher gets up 0-2, he likes to go low and in. I didn't have any of that. It was all up here. And he was the clip was him saying that it was actually easier for him to hit at the major league level than any other level he played at because he knew the pitchers. He's like, Tom Seaver was in the league the whole time I was. Fergie Jenkins, Bob Gibson, all of these stalwart National League pitchers that were always there. He faced them all the time. And he knew what they were going to do, and they knew what he was going to do. And it was a different game then. Today, when the Guardians fly to Toronto, all of their pitchers get a scouting packet with what the tendency is of every single hitter. So to think that you could hit 400 when all of this information is at the pitcher's fingertips. Now, granted, the hitters have information on the pitchers too, but I think inherently the pitcher to hitter battles the advantages the pitcher
Easy.
by a lot. I mean, the pitcher is going to succeed 7 out of 10 times.
Right.
The hitter succeeds 3 out of 10 times, and he's going to the Hall of Fame. So to think that he can do this in the specialized game where in the 6th inning they're going to have somebody that comes in and throws a specific way. And when he bats again in the 8th, it's going to be someone else that throws a specific way. And if it goes into the 9th and he gets to bat again, it will be a hard-throwing closer. It's really tough.
If I go back and think about it, and you play 3 sports in high school, I'll say, okay, you look at different feats or things that you could do. Like, they're like, oh, can you dunk a basketball? You'd be like, yeah, I probably still can do that. Can you tackle somebody? Sure, I probably could tackle somebody or win one pass rush before I dislocate my lower body. But the thing that I marvel at the most is hitting a baseball. Like, sometimes I have to go back and just look. Like, my Pee Wee coach sent me a tape, and I marvel at it because I don't know it's that difficult. I don't know if you today just throwing somebody out there, all the rest of the stuff athletically, you might, I can still do that. But baseball, that's why I be laughing at Tyvus. Stop.
It's hard. It's not easy.
Real quick, Jay, and then we'll move on to our most surprising Guardians of the season. We started with pitching, and then we went to Kwan. I want to just wrap this up with pitching real quick.
Right.
Big picture, no overarching serious concerns after what we saw in Toronto from this starting rotation. I know G said he was a little concerned. You said not much, and Earl, you said not much. We just want to put a bow tie on that. Nothing to break out the panic button and start smashing yet, right?
I think that Gavin Williams is in the wings, and I also think that they're going to make a trade. I think they have to make a trade. So if you get 2 more arms in here, you can, I hate to say it, but Carlos Carrasco probably won't be on the roster after they make a move, unless they want to put him to the bullpen and try to, have him be an innings eater in games that kind of get out of hand early. I just don't think he's going to be on the roster. You give me Gavin Williams and another front of the rotation kind of starter, and that's the kind of move I think that they need to make, then I think they're set.
If they still had Bieber, I would pick them to win the World Series.
Oh, my God. Especially the way he was pitching to start the year.
Yeah, I would pick him because I know you got him, Gavin Williams, Allen, Bibee.
Wow.
Boy.
Oh, my God.
Man.
It's 2 years in a row, really, that we got derailed by pitching injuries. And I shouldn't say derailed. Last year it derailed our season. This year, they're hanging in there.
Yeah.
And so I think what they have to do is they have to get out and make a trade. And I think they're going to. Friday on the show, Mike Chernoff was here.
He seemed like he was up for it.
Yeah. He didn't do any song and dance. A lot of times they'll tap dance around that question. Well, we'll see where we are in middle of July. He said with certainty, you can bet I'm going to spend every waking moment between now and the trade deadline talking to other teams about deals. and that makes me feel good.
That was a refresh. Shout out to you. Your rest of you GMs, you should be looking at that, man. I guess you could do that when you 21 games up.
He gave us something, though.
He gave us something on that. He talked about the philosophy at the plate definitely changed.
Yes.
They're hitting the ball. And he said, listen, we're going to wear the heck out of these City Series joints. These might be our new uniforms. He gave us 3 things. The rest of you guys, hey, listen, Kobe Altman, give us one. When is the coach coming? We'll talk about that later in the show. That was a tease.
Yeah, we will talk about that later in the show. So anyhow, I'm not panicking. I'm not reaching for any panic button. I think the Guardians will be fine. I do expect them to hit a skid. It's not going to be a comfortable race. I think the Twins are going to get close. I think the Royals will get close. And we'll probably have to sweat it out through September. But the way things look right now, I would sure as hell rather be 5 games up than 5 games out.
Are they still in a situation? I heard on the radio that the Guardians have not lost. They've won every 2 or 3 games that they've played so far this year.
No, the Yankees beat them in a series.
They've lost a few series.
Yeah, they've lost a couple
lost 3
series.
or 4
No,
to
they've lost series.
The
But
Blue Jays.
That White Sox
Chicago.
nasty.
But I've heard for every 3 games played, the
Well, no, their record is 44-25.
Correct.
If it was 44-22, it would be exactly 667. That means you're winning 2 of 3.
So that's probably what it was about a week ago.
Yeah, well,
And you saying they'll hit a skid maybe where they lose, 7 in a row or something like that?
Yeah, every team does. I'm not saying 7 in a row. I'm saying 7 out of 10. You know, they'll hit a skid where they just.
I mean, heck, they was 4.
Things start to look difficult.
They was 4-4 on this one. So
right.
I mean, it's 500.
It happens. But look, if you come home and you're 500 after an 8-game trip, that's great. Because the expectation is you'll come home and be 5-3 or 6-2. That's how you win your division. You play 500 at home, and 500 on the road, and you play 600 or 650 at home.
How you like the pitcher matchup tonight?
I didn't look at it.
They play tomorrow.
Tomorrow. They're off tonight.
It's McKenzie versus Bryce Miller. And tomorrow,
I like it.
I'm going to show you guys a video. I actually hit against Bryce Miller when he was at A&M.
Did you really?
Well,
I seen that. I seen that
We'll show you all
video.
the video. It's really fun.
I seen that video.
Yeah,
Listen,